because when America was the so-called policeman of the world, we had to pay for defense, while these other countries did not pay their fair share. We were forced to send troops and/or equipment first, rather than countries that were right there. Now, other countries are paying their fair share, and will hopefully deal with problems in their backyards first. Meanwhile, we have Davos and the World Economic Forum. People who want to make decisions for the whole world. Did you know that Immigration and Customs Enforcement is making arrests every day in Texas as well? They are not all in Minnesota. Why do you not hear about these? Maybe because we let ICE do its job and do not get in the way. Just let them deport the illegals. Honestly, that is very easy to do. Best of all, it does not harm the constitutional rights of any Americans. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Roll has once more demonstrated Godwin's law. If ICE were not just arresting people who broke into this country and/or those who interfere, Mr. Roll might have a point. If ICE was crossing international borders to arrest people, Mr. Roll might have a point. If ICE were putting anyone in camps rather than processing centers before deportation, some of which were built under the Obama administration, Mr. Roll might have a point. However, since none of those are so, Mr. Roll does not have a point. Again, let us look at this logically. The Trump administration has been limiting federal power, and thus not expanding or consuming more power. What Mr. Sheneman is trying to say is that this federal agency, even though it is technically just a cabal of private bankers, does not have to answer to anyone. What would happen if the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation did something illegal? What about the head of the Central Intelligence Agency? What about the head of the Treasury? What Mr. Sheneman is trying to say is that some agencies do not have to answer to the president or the public. Furthermore, the president is over all federal agencies. Just like the Secretary of Education should answer to him, so should the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Well, now there are people who attack ICE who are now arming themselves with ICE weapons and gear. At this point, both sides of the aisle believe in protecting themselves from the government. Only the liberals are arming themselves against imaginary threats that do not exist. All they have to do is just get out of the way of ICE. After all, if you just let them do their job, not one person will have any constitutional rights violated. Mr. Lukovich might actually have a point here. I am sure that the dozens of FBI agitators in the crowd, such as Ray Epps, could have transferred to work with ICE. There is a lot of overlap between these two government agencies. But that is not what Mr. Lukovich is trying to say. His Trump derangement syndrome is showing. Mr. Oman likewise has severe Trump derangement syndrome, as he believes that anything that President Trump does is wrong or evil. That is truly a sad existence. But it is his existence. Did he ever consider that this Board of Peace would need substantial capital? Instead, he will just support the money laundering organization that is the United Nations, an organization that has brought no lasting peace, but is excellent at seeding discord. They might want to check the local McDonald's. That is where the ICE agent took the kid after his father abandoned him. From what I can tell, his father would not take him back to his country. Why are we blaming law enforcement for the criminals, like his father, breaking laws? If a parent drives under the influence, the kids are taken away. That is how our justice system works. There are only two types of people who would be scared of this forecast. The first are the criminals who broke into this country. The second are the agitators who want to protect said criminals. These people not only abuse women and children, they also traffic in drugs and people, and they end lives daily. These are the people that the protesters are protecting. They do not care about the crime, they just care about fulfilling their TDS. I would like to point out that filming from the sidewalk, instead of going in and disrupting ICE operations, was always allowed. Imagine you see someone getting pulled over for a traffic violation. You have a few options as to what to do. 1. You can drive on by. 2. You can watch it from a distance to make sure nothing goes wrong. 3. You can put yourself between the officer and the vehicle. All 3 are possible. But the last one will rightfully get you arrested. So why did this latest disruptor try to intervene? When you approach a law enforcement officer while possessing a weapon, said officer is justified in fearing for his life. Just like the illegals who broke into America, this disruptor chose to be there. Imagine a world in which these two just stayed on the sidewalk and did not get in the way. I wish that these two were still alive. And unlike liberals, I do not revel in death. However, these two, and countless others, chose to get in the way of a lawful investigation, for reasons truly understood only by them. The cages built under Barack Obama apparently do not count. We have seen inside Alligator Alcatraz, and unlike the empty parking lot that AOC cried in, this one is suited to hold these illegals comfortably while they are processed. The illegals are the ones who broke in and chose to stay. They were even allowed to self-deport.